What's going on, YouTube? This is Big Pencil coming at you again with a nut. I had a pretty good response to the last memories type video I done, so I figured I'd kind of go into a little more detail with some of the pictures that I posted up there. And so I'm gonna do 3 more stories today. Now, one of the stories I don't have a picture with because I didn't get the buck. This will be the story of, I would say, the biggest buck that I've ever had get away from me while I was down there at the club. And I don't know, I think it was probably, it would have had to have been 2004, 2005. I think I was about 14, 15 years old. My brother had bought me a Remington 870 Super Mag with a 26-inch barrel on it. And I was pretty good with it. That's how I got to where I like Remington so. Because, I mean, I killed a lot of deer with it, a lot of doves and ducks and whatnot, and I was pretty good with it. And, well, I was down there one day. We hunted, we called a block behind the dairy. And me and Robert Downsler went down in this swamp bottom into a creek. There's a creek running right up through the middle of that drive. And when we went down in there, me and him, everybody else went to their spots and whatnot. And I wasn't driving that day. And well, I got down into that stand there and I sat, and I'd say probably 45 minutes to an hour went by. And I heard the dogs running, but they was running long ways off. And I had in the gun, I had 3.5-inch double aught, 18 pellet 3.5-inch magnums. This is the only time I've ever shot a deer with a 3.5-inch magnum, and I vowed that would be the last time I ever shoot at a deer with a 3.5-inch magnum. I heard them dogs running a long ways off. I could just barely hear them. Well, all of a sudden, I hear something juice through the water. And probably about 60, 65 yards in front of me, there come one of the biggest bucks I ever seen in my lifetime, with another buck right behind him. There's 2 bucks running together. It was, I want to say it was late season. I think it was about mid-December. And so the bucks had started to kind of hang around each other again. And when that buck got close enough, within 30 yards of me, he wasn't going to come no closer than that. I put that gun up and I put it right on him, and as soon as the crack of the gun, the first shot, boom, he locked up and he hit the water. Went slam under the water. I was, oh, I got him. So I started shooting at the other buck. Well, the other buck, he darted into some trees there. Well, I just popped at him twice as he went through the trees, and I didn't touch him. When I turned and looked, and that big buck had got up and was running again. And I reared back and I laid at him one more time, and I don't know if I hit him or not. But you'd have never convinced me that I didn't kill that deer on that first shot. Boy, he just boom and hit the ground, and he locked up and hauled butt. And boy, I was so heartbroken. A 14, 15-year-old boy with a big old buck like that run off, boy, you don't know what to think. So I got Daddy down, and Robert come down there, and we got Daddy over in there. We got the best tracker we had in there at the club. We got Mike to come and look, and we got on the blood trail, and we followed that blood trail probably another 300 yards, and it just quit. Boy, the blood quit dropping. We just couldn't find. He got into some little small planted pines, and we just couldn't find no more blood. It was hard to track in that pine straw. And so I said I didn't have a picture, but I do have something else. Now, I don't know for 100% certain that this is the same buck. But 2 years later, I was driving over in the same hunt, probably 100 yards from where we lost blood at, in the same direction that buck was headed. I found this 2 years later. It looks to be the same one, but like I say, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm going to say it was the same one. I walked up on this one day, found this. Big 9-point, I guess you could say. When I found this, I said, I just knew right then. I said, that's that buck that I shot at. Ain't no doubt in my mind that is the buck that I shot at. I knew he died somewhere but I just could not find him. If I'd have known he was going to get back up again, I'd have shot him under the water. I'd have unloaded on him, but I thought sure enough he was dead as soon as I pulled the trigger. And so I started shooting at the other one, and then that was it. He was gone. But I always regretted not getting that buck, but you can't kill them all, that's for sure. But I tell you, I sure would have loved to have had this one up on my wall. I mean, that would have been the biggest buck that I've killed down there ever at that time. I probably killed a couple bigger than that since then, but that one was definitely for a 14-year-old boy. That was a heartbreaker, but it is what it is. On to the next story. Next story I'm gonna tell you about, I'm gonna say it's probably the biggest buck, if not pretty close to it, that I've ever seen come from down there. And me, my brother, my daddy, and a good friend of ours, Jimmy Crosby, was down there hunting one day. We turned the dogs loose, and it probably about another 20 minutes, another pack of dogs come in there. And the way we hunted the middle block. We got in that middle block, and the way we usually go, there's a big oak tree and a big pine tree. Big oak trees over here, big pine trees over here. Well, that big pine tree is a big run that runs right along the side of that thing. And we'd see deer run through that thing all the time. And so my daddy was gonna go there, but then we heard the dogs coming, so everything got changed up. Well, I went into where I normally go, in the middle of all of that. My brother was out in front of me, probably about 75, 80 yards. I could see him. My daddy was about 75, 80 yards to my right. Well, Jimmy, I don't know why he done this. He never done that before, but I guess he knew what he was doing at the time. He went behind me, probably about 60, 70 yards behind me. Well, I heard them dogs coming, heard them yop, 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 yop. Boy, they was burning it up coming down through there. And I look up, I see my brother, he puts the gun up. He bum, 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 bum. He shoots 5 times. And my brother ain't never been no great shot. he ain't never been no great shot. He missed. I'll tell you, he didn't miss quite all the way, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. Well, the buck come around there, split between me and Daddy, come around behind me, straight to Jimmy as he could go, and he shot twice and killed him. And this is that buck right here. And I'm telling you, that's one of the biggest 11-point bucks I've ever seen in my lifetime come from down there, and he was a big one. He was a big one, I'm telling you. And that was a mighty fine buck. We actually killed 11 bucks that day. 11 bucks that day. Now, there was a lot of bucks killed, and a lot of nice bucks killed that day, but that was by far the biggest one. That's been the biggest one I've seen come from down there in many years. But we've always killed real nice bucks down there, but there's just a handful of them that kind of stick out in my memory. And I remember them a lot better. But that was one, he got him put on the wall. He's at his house right now. That's a nice buck. But that's story number 2. Now for number 3, I'll tell you about big 10-point full velvet that I killed down there. I got him on my wall in my house. My cousin was down visiting, Justin. He was down here visiting with us that weekend, and it was opening day. Opening day, well, it wasn't opening day. It was the first Saturday after the 15th. So it was the first dog drive of the year. My wife, she was wanting to go with me. So I want to go with you tomorrow and wake me up. Now I said, all right, I'll wake you up. But I told her that it ain't much need to go because nothing ever really happens that first day that often. I mean, you just don't have good running. I mean, the dogs ain't quite got into the notion yet. Well, we went down there that day. Well, I went down there that day. I tried to wake them up that next morning, and they didn't get up. They won't be lazy. So my cousin didn't go, and my wife didn't go. I was down there, me, Daddy, and the rest of our crew. We went down there, and when we went down there, we was hunting behind the dairy, same block where I missed the big buck. God let him get away from me. I got down in there. As soon as we turned the dogs loose, me and Daddy dropped the dogs loose. I head straight to the creek. Straight to the creek bottom as I could go. Went down and I got in that creek there, and I just kind of propped up, threw out an anchor for a minute, and I sat there. Well, I heard a couple dogs yipping off into the distance, but then our dogs went and followed them, got in on with them. And when they started trailing, we had a dog named Bell. Boy, that was the best trail dog you ever want to see in your life. That thing would run a 2-day trail, just as easy as she could run one getting up out the bed. And when she come yipping down through that trailing, and all of a sudden I heard them dogs uproar. And boy, that deer had to have been laying within 75, 80 yards of where I was at. I heard him when he stepped up. He come out into that creek bottom. When I seen the deer, he was 20 steps from me. And all I seen was that coming straight at me. Well, then he seen me. I'm standing there in between two big cypress trees with some vines up above me there. So I go throw the gun up, and I'm hung all up in the vines. Well, I get maneuvered from around the vines. I put the gun up and boom, and I flip him over. He tried to get up again, and I boom. I rolled him again that second shot, and that was it for him. And boy, you couldn't tell me nothing then. Boy, I hollered so daggone loud, you could hear me clean cross the property line. The fellas on the other side heard me hollering that I killed that big old buck. He was full of velvet. I had to wrap my belt around his neck to drag him out by his neck to keep his horns from dragging the ground, because I wanted to save the velvet. And it'd make a nice mount. When the taxidermist called me, he said, "You want to use another cape? This one's got buckshot pellets all in it, holes all in it." I said, "No, that's just character." I said, I want to remember that deer that I killed down there dog driving. I want to remember that for the rest of my life. So now I use that same cape. And I got the same cape right in there, buckshot pellet holes in it at all. And but I can remember a lot of memories from down there, but that's just another 3 that I was gonna share with y'all. But if I keep getting a pretty good viewing and response from these types of videos, I mean, I'll try to post at least one, say every week or every other week, just to kind of keep it interesting until we start catfishing and bass fishing, and it gets hot again and we start sheephead fishing some more, and of course when deer season comes back around, we'll be back at it again. But right now we just ain't got nothing, a whole lot to do till time to hunt again. But I'll try to keep updated and keep posting videos somehow or another. As long as y'all keep enjoying them, I'll keep posting them. This is Big Pencil, and we will be back with another one soon.